If you're looking to buy a home but don't have a large deposit, there is a new option that may help. I'm Dan the Mortgage Man from Holloway Mortgage Solutions, and this is the Leeds Building Society Start Mortgage. First of all, how does it work? The Start Mortgage is designed for first-time buyers with very small deposit. Interestingly, Leeds Building Society's definition of a first-time buyer is slightly wider than some other lenders. As well as traditional first-time buyers, it can also be available to people who haven't had a mortgage in the last 3 years. And for joint applications, at least one applicant must meet that definition. The mortgage is available at 95 to 98% loan to value, which means you can potentially buy a property with a small deposit, although the minimum deposit is £5,000. The scheme is available on houses and flats, but new build properties are excluded. The minimum household income is £30,000. The maximum mortgage available is £500,000. Gifted deposits are accepted, and self-employed applicants can apply subject to Leeds Building Society's normal lending criteria. The mortgage is only available in a 5-year fixed rate product, and at the time of recording the interest rate is 5.65%, and there's no product fee. Let's start with the positives. The big advantage is obviously the deposit requirement. For many buyers, saving a deposit is the biggest obstacle to buying a home. Being able to purchase with as little as £5,000 could allow some people to get onto the property ladder much sooner than they otherwise would. The mortgage accepts gifted deposits and can also be available to self-employed applicants, meaning this scheme may be more accessible to a relatively broader range of buyers. And unlike some low deposit schemes that require support from family members through savings accounts or legal charges, this works much like a traditional mortgage once it's in place. Now, let's talk about the drawbacks and risks. The first thing to understand is that you're buying with a very small deposit. That means you're starting with very little equity in the property, and if property prices were to fall, you could find yourself in negative equity, where the mortgage balance is higher than your property value. Negative equity can make it more difficult to remortgage or move in the future. It's also worth looking carefully at the interest rate, and at the time of recording, the rate is 5.65%, but is subject to change. While this may be right for some buyers, if you're able to save at least a 5% deposit, Leeds Building Society themselves, as well as other lenders, may be able to offer a lower rate. That could reduce your monthly payments and your overall costs of borrowing. Another point to consider is the income multiples. This mortgage allows you to borrow up to 5 times the household income. While that sounds attractive, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the highest borrowing available. If you're able to put together at least a 5% deposit, Leeds Building Society and other lenders may be willing to lend you more depending on your circumstances. Next, the scheme is only available on a 5-year fixed rate product. Now, some borrowers may like the certainty of a 5-year fix, but others may prefer shorter terms or different mortgage options which are not available through this scheme. Is it a good idea? For the right person, this could be a useful way to get onto the property ladder without needing to save a large deposit. But it shouldn't be automatically assumed that this is the best option. If you're close to having a 5% deposit, it's worth comparing against other mortgages that may offer lower rates, higher borrowing potential, or a wider choice of products. The Leeds Building Society's Start Mortgage could be a helpful solution for buyers whose main challenge is saving a deposit. But like any mortgage product, it's important to look at the whole picture and compare it against alternatives available to you. The right choice will depend on your deposit, your income, your long-term plans, and the options available at the time that you apply. If you're wondering whether the Leeds Building Society's Start Mortgage could work for you, or you'd like to compare it against other options available, feel free to get in touch and I'll be happy to talk you through what is possible.